That morning, when Noah walked into CEO Aurora Hale's office to deliver documents, he had no idea his life was about to change. Because Aurora Hale never noticed anyone. The Ice Queen. Untouchable. But when Noah set down that folder, Aurora stopped. She moved closer until her fingers brushed his collar. She adjusted it slowly, her face tilting near enough that Noah froze. Then Aurora whispered, "You smell different today." But why would an ice-cold CEO notice the scent of an ordinary employee? Noah had been staring at the ceiling for the past 20 minutes, mentally running through his day. Work, daycare pickup, dinner, bedtime story. Repeat. A small hand tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy, I can't find Mr. Whiskers." Noah turned his head to see his daughter standing beside the bed, her hair a mess of blonde tangles. Mia clutched her blanket in one fist, her bottom lip jutting out in that way that meant she was close to tears. "Let's find him together, sweetheart," Noah said, pushing himself up. They searched the apartment. It was small, just 2 bedrooms in a building on the edge of the city where the rent was manageable. Noah found the stuffed cat wedged between the couch cushions. Mia grabbed it and hugged it tight. "Thank you, Daddy." Noah ruffled her hair. "Go brush your teeth. I'll make breakfast." He moved to the kitchen and pulled out bread and a carton of milk, toast and cereal. It was what they had most mornings. Mia sat at the table, swinging her legs, humming a tune she had learned at school. "Can you come to school today?" Mia asked between bites of toast. Noah glanced at the clock. He had 40 minutes before he needed to leave for the bus. "I have to work, Princess, but I'll pick you up early, okay?" Mia nodded, though her smile dimmed a little. Noah felt the familiar tug in his chest. He wanted to give her more time, more attention, more of everything. On the refrigerator, held up by a magnet shaped like a sunflower, was a photo of Emily. It had been taken 4 years ago before the diagnosis. She was laughing, her arm around Noah's shoulders. He looked at it every morning, not because he needed to remember her face, but because he needed to remember why he kept going. Mia finished her cereal and ran to get her backpack. Noah grabbed his work bag and checked his reflection in the hallway mirror. His shirt was wrinkled at the collar, and there was a faint stain on his sleeve where Mia had spilled milk earlier that week. He tried to smooth it out, but it did not help much. "Let's go, sweetheart." They walked to the bus stop together. Mia chattered about her teacher and a boy in her class who could do a cartwheel. Noah listened, nodding at the right moments, his mind already drifting to the stack of paperwork waiting for him at Hale Dynamics. The bus came. Mia waved at him through the window as it pulled away. Noah waved back until she was out of sight. Then he turned and started his own commute. Aurora Hale arrived at her office at exactly 8 in the morning. She always did. The building was 40 stories tall, glass and steel rising into the skyline like a monument to efficiency. Her office was on the top floor, corner view, overlooking the city she had spent the last 5 years dominating. Her assistant, Lisa, was already at her desk outside the door. She stood when Aurora approached. "Good morning, Ms. Hale. The board meeting is in 30 minutes. Aurora did not slow down. "Cancel my 2 o'clock. I need to review the Anderson contract alone." Lisa nodded and made a note. Aurora pushed through the heavy door into her office and set her bag on the desk. The room was immaculate. White walls, minimalist furniture, a single orchid on the windowsill that someone watered, but Aurora never looked at. She sat down and opened her laptop. 312 unread emails. She began sorting through them, her expression unchanging. Numbers, projections, requests, complaints. She handled them all with the same cold precision. Aurora was 34, though most people assumed she was older. It was the way she carried herself, the way she spoke, the way she looked at people as though she could see straight through them. She had taken over Hale Dynamics after her father died. He had built the company from nothing, and when he passed, Aurora inherited not just his fortune, but his expectations. She had been running it ever since, and she had done it better than anyone thought she could. But it had cost her. The board called her the Ice Queen behind her back. The employees whispered it in the break room. Aurora knew. She did not care. Let them think what they wanted. Fear kept people in line. Fear kept them from getting too close. She scrolled through another report, her eyes scanning the data. Then her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. "Dinner this weekend." Aurora deleted it without replying. She leaned back in her chair and looked out the window. The city stretched below her, a grid of buildings and streets, and people moving through their lives like ants. She wondered sometimes what it would feel like to be one of them, to have something small and simple to care about. But she had stopped wondering a long time ago. 7 years earlier, Aurora had been engaged. His name was Marcus Lowe. He was a businessman, charming and confident, with the kind of smile that made people trust him. Aurora had thought she loved him. She had thought he loved her. The night before their wedding, she had gone to his apartment to drop off something she had forgotten. She used her key. The lights were off, but she heard his voice coming from the bedroom. He was on the phone. "Once I marry her, everything will be mine," Marcus said. His voice was light, almost amused. "She's just a stepping stone. Give it a year, maybe 2, maybe. Then I'll take over, and she can go back to playing house or whatever she wants." Aurora stood in the hallway, frozen. She did not knock. She did not say a word. She just turned around and left. She called off the wedding the next morning. She did not explain. She did not argue. She just ended it. Marcus called her, texted her, showed up at her office. She had security remove him. After a few months, he stopped trying. Aurora never told anyone what she had heard. She buried it. And she swore she would never let anyone close enough to do it again. Now, sitting in her office, Aurora stared at the city below and felt nothing. At 10:30, there was a knock on Aurora's door. She did not look up from her screen. "Come in." The door opened. A man stepped inside, holding a manila folder. He was tall, with dark hair that looked like it needed a trim. His shirt was wrinkled, and his tie was slightly crooked. He walked with his head slightly lowered, like he was trying not to take up too much space. "Ms. Hale, the Q4 logistics report," the man said quietly. Aurora held out her hand without looking at him. "Put it on the desk." The man stepped forward. He set the folder down carefully, as though afraid of making noise. Then he took a step back. And that was when Aurora smelled it. It was faint, but unmistakable. Milk, not coffee, not cologne, not the sterile scent of dry cleaning and expensive soap that filled the rest of the building. It was something softer, warmer. Something that did not belong. Aurora's hand froze on the keyboard. She looked up. The man was already turning to leave. She studied him for the first time. His face was tired, lines etched around his eyes. His shoulders were slightly hunched, like he carried weight no one else could see. "What's your name?" Aurora asked. The man stopped. He turned back, surprise flickering across his face. "Noah Briggs, ma'am, from administration." Aurora's gaze did not waver. "How long have you worked here?" 3 years, Ms. Hale." She nodded slowly. Noah stood there for another second, unsure if he was dismissed. Aurora said nothing else. Finally, he turned and left, closing the door softly behind him. Aurora sat perfectly still. The scent lingered in the air. She could not place why it affected her. She had smelled 1,000 things in this office. None of them had ever made her stop. She looked down at the folder Noah had left. The cover was clean, but when she opened it, she noticed a faint smudge in the corner of the first page. A fingerprint. Small, childlike. Aurora stared at it for a long time. That afternoon, Aurora called Lisa into her office. "I need a personnel file," Aurora said. Lisa pulled out her tablet. "Which department?" "Administration. Noah Briggs." Lisa's eyebrows lifted slightly, but she did not ask questions. "I'll have it for you in 10 minutes. Discreetly," Aurora added. Lisa nodded and left. When the file arrived, Aurora opened it on her screen. The information was brief. Noah Briggs, 38 years old, hired 3 years ago. Position, administrative coordinator. Performance, satisfactory. No disciplinary issues. No absences. Then Aurora saw the line that made her stop. Marital status, widowed. Dependents. 1. Mia Briggs, age 6. Aurora read it again. Then a third time. A single father. Raising a child alone. She leaned back in her chair and stared at the ceiling. Somewhere in the back of her mind, an image surfaced. She was 12 years old, sitting on the stairs of her childhood home. Her mother was crying in the kitchen. Her father was holding Aurora's hand, telling her it would be okay. That they would be okay. Her mother had died of cancer. Aurora remembered the smell of the hospital, the way her father's voice cracked when he tried to stay strong for her. Aurora closed the file. She opened a new document on her screen and pulled up the list of upcoming projects. Her eyes scanned down the list until she found one. Green energy expansion, Phase 1. It was small, but it came with a performance bonus. $5,000. Aurora typed Noah's name into the assignment field. Then she closed her laptop and stood. She walked to the window and looked out at the city. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows across the streets below. Aurora did not know why she had done it. She told herself it was strategic. The project needed someone reliable, someone who would not waste time playing office politics. But deep down, she knew that was not the whole truth. She thought about the scent of milk, the fingerprint on the page, the way Noah had walked into her office like he was apologizing for existing. Aurora pressed her palm against the glass. It was cold. No child should grow up without what they need, she whispered. But even as she said it, she knew she was lying to herself. 2 days later, Noah sat in a small conference room on the 12th floor. His manager, Martin, stood at the front with a tablet in his hand. 6 other employees from administration sat around the table, their faces blank with Monday morning fatigue. Martin cleared his throat. We've been assigned a new project, Green Energy Expansion Phase 1. It's a priority for the company, so whoever takes this on needs to deliver. Noah kept his eyes on the table. He had been in meetings like this before. Usually, Martin gave the high-profile assignments to people he liked, people who took him to lunch, people who laughed at his jokes. Noah Briggs, Martin said. Noah looked up, certain he had misheard. Martin was staring at him. You've been selected for the project. The room went silent. A man across the table, Daniel, leaned back in his chair and folded his arms. His expression was sharp. Noah felt it like a blade. How did someone from admin get picked for this? Daniel muttered, just loud enough for everyone to hear. Martin did not respond to Daniel. He looked at Noah. Orders from the top. Don't ask questions, just deliver. Noah nodded slowly, though his mind was racing. He had never handled a project this large. He coordinated schedules. He filed reports. He was the person people forgot was in the room. That's all, Martin said, dismissing them. Noah gathered his things and left quickly. As he walked back to his desk, he felt eyes on him. Whispers followed him down the hallway. He kept his head down. At his desk, Noah opened the project file. It was dense. Pages of supplier contracts, budget projections, timelines. He read through it once, then again. By the time he looked up, the office was nearly empty. The clock on his computer screen said 8:45. He grabbed his phone and called Mia's daycare. Hi, this is Noah Briggs. I'm running late. Is it okay if I pick up Mia by 9:15? The woman on the other end sighed. We close at 9, Mr. Briggs. I know, I'm sorry. I'll be there as fast as I can. He hung up and shoved the papers into his bag. He ran to catch the bus. Aurora stood in her office late that evening, watching the city lights flicker on one by one. Lisa had gone home hours ago. The building was quiet. She opened her laptop and pulled up the security footage from the 12th floor. She told herself it was routine, a security audit, nothing more. The video played. She watched Noah at his desk, bent over a stack of papers. He did not move for nearly 2 hours. Then he stood abruptly, grabbed his bag, and left. Aurora checked the timestamp. 8:47. She closed the laptop. The next day, Aurora walked past the 12th floor on her way to a meeting. She never went to the lower floors. But that morning, She told herself she needed to check something in the records room. As she passed the open workspace, she saw Noah through the glass wall. He was standing in front of a whiteboard, explaining something to two other employees. One of them said something, and Noah smiled. It was small, brief, but it changed his face entirely. Aurora stopped. She stood just outside the door, watching. Then she turned and walked away before anyone noticed. That afternoon, Aurora called the building supervisor. "I want the pantry on the 12th floor restocked," she said. The supervisor hesitated. "That floor doesn't use much. We usually stock it once a month." "Stock it weekly," Aurora said. Her tone left no room for argument. "Yes, Ms. Hale." She hung up. Later, she sent Lisa an email. "Keep the coffee machines on 12 maintained. Make sure they are always functional." Lisa replied within minutes. Understood. Aurora closed her email and stared at the screen. She did not know what she was doing. She only knew that every time she thought about Noah working late, about him rushing to pick up his daughter, something tightened in her chest. She told herself it was efficiency. Employees performed better when they were supported. But she knew that was not true. 3 weeks into the project, Daniel approached Noah's desk. He dropped a folder in front of him. "Here's the supplier list you asked for," Daniel said. Noah opened it and scanned the names. "Thanks." Daniel walked away without another word. Noah spent the next 2 days building his report around the data Daniel had given him. He cross-referenced budgets, mapped timelines, and drafted recommendations. When he finished, he submitted it to Martin. The next morning, Martin called him into his office. "What is this?" Martin held up the report, his face red. Noah stood in the doorway, his stomach dropping. "The Phase 1 analysis. You asked for it by today." "The numbers don't match the budget," Martin snapped. "The supplier costs are completely off. Did you even check this?" Noah felt the blood drain from his face. "I used the list Daniel gave me." "I don't care what Daniel gave you. This is your project. Fix it by tomorrow morning, or you're off the assignment." Noah left the office in a daze. He went back to his desk and opened the original supplier database. He compared it to the list Daniel had provided. The numbers were different. Completely different. Daniel had given him the wrong data. Noah sat there, staring at the screen. He wanted to march over to Daniel's desk and confront him, but he knew what would happen. Daniel had friends in the office. Noah did not. If he made an accusation, it would only make things worse. So he said nothing. He stayed until midnight, rebuilding the entire report from scratch. When Noah got home, Mia was asleep on the couch. The babysitter, Mrs. Callahan from down the hall, was watching television with the volume low. "She didn't want to go to bed without saying good night to you," Mrs. Callahan said softly. Noah felt the guilt settle over him like a weight. "Thank you for staying late." He paid her, then carried Mia to her bed. She stirred slightly but did not wake. He tucked her in and kissed her forehead. In the kitchen, Noah made himself instant coffee and sat at the table. He opened his laptop and kept working. At some point, he looked up and saw the photo of Emily on the refrigerator. She was smiling. She always smiled in photos. "I'm trying," Noah whispered. The next day, Noah submitted the corrected report. Martin reviewed it without a word, then forwarded it to the board. 2 days later, Noah received an email. Report approved. Well done. It was from someone in upper management he had never met. Noah stared at the email for a long time, then closed his laptop. He did not know that Aurora had been the one to review it personally. That she had read every page, that she had sent a quiet directive to IT to check the email logs between Noah and Daniel. And when the logs showed Daniel had intentionally provided false data, Aurora made a single phone call. "Transfer Daniel Carter to the Seattle branch, effective immediately." The HR director hesitated. "May I ask why?" "No," Aurora said, and hung up. The following week, Daniel's desk was empty. His nameplate was gone. No one said anything, but the whispers started. People looked at Noah differently after that, with caution, with respect. He did not understand why. A month later, Noah stood in the main conference room, presenting his final analysis for Phase 1. The board sat around the long table, their faces unreadable. Martin stood in the back, arms crossed. Noah's hands shook slightly as he clicked through the slides, but his voice stayed steady. He had rehearsed this 100 times. He knew the numbers by heart. When he finished, one of the directors nodded. "Good work, Briggs." Another director, Robert, leaned forward. "You've got potential. Keep it up." Noah felt something unfamiliar rise in his chest. Pride, maybe, or relief. He was not sure. Martin said nothing. That evening, Noah picked Mia up early. They went to the park, and she ran straight to the swings. Noah pushed her, watching her laugh as she soared higher. "Daddy, look, I'm flying!" Noah smiled. "I see you, sweetheart." On the way home, they stopped for pizza. Mia ate 3 slices and fell asleep in the car. Noah carried her inside and laid her on the couch. He sat beside her and looked at the photo of Emily. "I'm doing my best," he said quietly. "For her. For us." He did not know that 20 floors above him, Aurora was standing at her office window, staring out at the same city, thinking about the same thing. 6 weeks after the project began, Noah woke earlier than usual. Today was Mia's parent-teacher conference. He wanted everything to be perfect. He showered and shaved carefully. He ironed his best shirt, the one he saved for important occasions. He looked at himself in the mirror and felt a wave of uncertainty. Would the teachers think he was doing enough? Would they see him as just another struggling single parent? His phone buzzed, a text from his friend Jake. "Good luck today, man. You've got this." Noah smiled. Jake had offered to lend him cologne the day before, expensive stuff from some brand Noah could not pronounce. Noah had declined at first, but Jake had insisted. "You want to make a good impression, right? Trust me." Now, standing in his bathroom, Noah picked up the small bottle. He sprayed a little on his wrists, then his neck. The scent was strong, sharp, nothing like the body wash he usually used. But if it helped, it was worth it. He had one stop to make before the conference. He needed Aurora's signature on the final Phase 1 documents. Noah walked into Aurora's office at 9 in the morning. She was standing by the window, her back to him. She did not turn around. "Ms. Hale, the final Phase 1 report. It just needs your signature." Aurora turned slowly. Her eyes landed on him, and something shifted in her expression. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but Noah saw it. She walked toward him, not quickly, not slowly, just steady, deliberate steps. Noah held out the folder, but she did not take it. She stopped in front of him. Close. Too close. Noah's breath caught. Aurora reached up. Her fingers brushed the collar of his shirt, adjusting it. Her movements were slow, almost careful. Her face tilted upward, her eyes locked on his. Noah stood frozen. He did not know what to do. He did not know what was happening. Then Aurora leaned in, just slightly, and whispered, "You smell different today." Her voice was quiet, but there was something underneath it. Something sharp. Something that felt like accusation. Noah's mouth went dry. I'm sorry." Aurora stepped back. Her expression closed off, cold and distant once again. "Nothing. You can go." Noah left the office in a daze. His hands were shaking. He did not understand what had just happened. He did not understand why she had said that, why she had looked at him like he had done something wrong. Back at his desk, Noah could not focus. He kept replaying the moment in his head, the way Aurora had touched his collar, the way her breath had been so close. "You smell different today." What did that mean? He looked down at his shirt, at the cologne Jake had lent him. Had he used too much? Had he offended her somehow? Noah spent the rest of the day trying to concentrate, but he could not shake the feeling that he had made a terrible mistake. In her office, Aurora sat at her desk, staring at nothing. The scent had been wrong. It was not the soft, warm smell of milk and innocence. It was something else. Something sharp and polished. The kind of cologne men wore when they wanted to impress someone, when they wanted to climb. It was the same cologne Marcus used to wear. Aurora pressed her hands flat against the desk. She had been wrong. She had thought Noah was different, that he was simple, honest, that he wasn't like the others. But people changed. Money changed them. Success changed them. Maybe she had been wrong about him all along. Aurora closed her eyes and tried to breathe. She had let herself care, just a little, just enough. And now it hurt. Noah did not sleep that night. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the scene over and over. The way Aurora had stepped close, the way her fingers had brushed his collar, the way she had whispered those words like an accusation. "You smell different today." He did not understand. He had tried to look nice. He had tried to be presentable. And somehow, he had done something wrong. By the time morning came, Noah had made a decision. He could not work like this. He could not spend every day wondering what he had done to offend her. He needed to know. At 8 in the morning, he stood outside Aurora's office. His hand hovered over the door. He took a breath, then knocked. "Come in," came her voice from inside. Noah opened the door and stepped in. Aurora was seated at her desk, her eyes on her laptop. She did not look up. "Miss Hale," Noah said, his voice quieter than he intended. "If I offended you yesterday, I sincerely apologize." Aurora's fingers stopped moving on the keyboard. She still did not look at him. "There's nothing to apologize for," she said flatly. Noah stayed where he was, several feet from her desk. "Then why did you say I smelled different?" The question hung in the air. Aurora finally looked up. Her expression was unreadable. "It's complicated," she said. Noah took a step forward. "I don't understand. Did I do something wrong? Did I say something? I just want to know so I don't make the same mistake again." Aurora stood. She turned away from him and walked to the window. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, without turning around, she spoke. "I thought you had changed," she said quietly. "I thought success had turned you into someone else." Noah frowned. "I don't understand." Aurora's shoulders rose and fell with a slow breath. "Forget it. It doesn't matter." But Noah could not forget it. He had spent the last 6 weeks working harder than he ever had. He had given up time with Mia. He had stayed up late, woken up early, pushed himself to the edge of exhaustion. And now Aurora was telling him she thought he had changed. "Yesterday was my daughter's parent-teacher conference," Noah said. Aurora turned slightly, though she did not face him fully. Noah continued. "I wanted to look presentable, so Mia wouldn't be embarrassed, so the teachers wouldn't think I was, I don't know, failing her. I borrowed cologne from a friend. I wore my best shirt. I thought it would help." He looked down at his hands. "I didn't mean to change who I am, Miss Hale. I'm still the same person. I still take the bus. I still eat cereal for dinner sometimes because Mia wants pancakes. I'm still just me." When he looked up, Aurora was staring at him. Her expression had shifted. Something in her eyes looked raw. She turned back to the window. "7 years ago, I was engaged," she said. Noah did not speak. He just listened. He was charming, successful, perfect, or so I thought. Aurora's voice was steady, but there was something underneath it, something brittle. "The night before our wedding, I went to his apartment. I heard him on the phone. He said I was just a stepping stone, that once he married me, everything would be his." Noah felt his chest tighten. "I called off the wedding," Aurora said, "and I swore I would never trust anyone again." She turned to face him fully now. Her arms were crossed, but it looked more like she was holding herself together than shutting him out. "When I smelled that cologne on you," she said, "I thought you had become like him, like all of them." Noah shook his head slowly. "Ms. Hale, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm not him." Aurora looked at him for a long time. Then she nodded, just once. "I know." 2 days later, Noah was at his desk when Robert, one of the board directors, stopped by. He leaned against the edge of Noah's desk and smiled. "You did good work on that project, Briggs," Robert said. Noah looked up. "Thank you, sir." Robert crossed his arms. "You should thank CEO Hale personally. She's the one who assigned you to it." Noah blinked. "What?" Robert raised an eyebrow. "You didn't know?" Martin wanted to give it to his nephew. Aurora overruled him. "Said you were the right person for the job." Noah sat very still. "I thought it came from Martin," Robert laughed. "Martin doesn't make those calls. Aurora does." He clapped Noah on the shoulder. "Anyway, keep up the good work." He walked away, leaving Noah sitting at his desk in stunned silence. Aurora had chosen him. She had given him the project. She had protected him from Daniel. She had been watching over him the entire time. Noah thought back over the past 6 weeks. The coffee machine that never seemed to run out. The pantry that was always stocked. The way his reports were approved faster than anyone else's. Even Daniel's sudden disappearance. It had been her. All of it. That evening, Noah asked Lisa if he could see Aurora. Lisa hesitated, then checked the schedule. "She's very busy," Lisa said. "Please," Noah said. "Just 5 minutes." Lisa looked at him for a moment, then nodded. "I'll let her know." 10 minutes later, Noah stood outside Aurora's office. He knocked. "Come in." Noah stepped inside. Aurora was standing by the window again, her back to him. The city stretched out below, the lights beginning to flicker on as the sun set. "Ms. Hale," Noah said, "I know what you did for me." Aurora did not turn around. "I don't know what you're talking about." Noah stepped closer. "The project, the support, Daniel being transferred, everything." Aurora's shoulders tensed, but she said nothing. "Without you," Noah continued, his voice shaking slightly, "I wouldn't have been able to give Mia a better life. I wouldn't have been able to feel like I'm enough." Aurora turned slowly. Her eyes were red at the edges, though her face remained composed. "You were always enough, Noah." It was the first time she had said his name. Noah felt something break open in his chest. He did not know what to say, so he just stood there, looking at her. Aurora looked back at him, not as a CEO, not as the Ice Queen, just as a person who had carried too much for too long. "Thank you," Noah said quietly. Aurora nodded. She turned back to the window. "You should go pick up Mia." Noah hesitated, then turned toward the door. But before he left, he looked back at her one more time. "Ms. Hale?" She glanced over her shoulder. "You're enough too," Noah said. Then he left. That night it rained, the kind of rain that came down hard and fast, drumming against the windows of the top floor. Aurora stood alone in her office, watching the water streak down the glass. The city below was a blur of lights and motion. She thought about Noah, about the way he had looked at her. Not with fear, not with ambition, just with gratitude. And something else, something she didn't have a name for. She thought about the scent of milk that first day, the fingerprint on the page, the way he had said her title like it was armor she wore to keep people away. And for the first time in 7 years, Aurora wondered if maybe she did not need the armor anymore. She picked up her phone and opened a new message. She typed slowly. "If you ever need anything from Mia, let me know." Her thumb hovered over the send button. Then she deleted it. Not yet. The next morning, Noah arrived at work and found a small envelope on his desk. Inside was a handwritten note. "You did well. Keep going." It was unsigned, but Noah knew who it was from. He folded the note carefully and put it in his wallet, next to the photo of Emily. A week later, Noah stood in Aurora's office one last time. She had called him up to discuss the next phase of the project. They talked through the details. The conversation was professional, efficient. But when they finished, neither of them moved to leave. Aurora looked at him. "Do you think people can start over?" Noah thought about it. "I think if they're brave enough." Aurora smiled. It was small, barely there, but it was real. "I'm not sure I'm brave." Noah smiled back. "Neither am I." They stood there for a moment. The city stretched out behind them. The rain had stopped. The sun was breaking through the clouds. "I should go pick up Mia," Noah said. Aurora nodded. "Drive safely." Noah turned to leave, but at the door, he stopped and looked back. "Miss Hale?" She looked up. "Maybe someday," Noah said, "when we're both ready." Aurora's smile widened, just a little. "Maybe." Noah left. Aurora stood at the window, watching the city come to life under the clearing sky. She thought about courage, about trust, about the possibility of something she had thought was lost forever. She pulled out her phone and looked at the unsent message again. This time, she pressed send. Somewhere across the city, Noah's phone buzzed. He looked down at the screen and smiled. The distance between them was still there. But it felt smaller now. And maybe, someday, it would disappear entirely.